set aside sterile packaged TMP1034 temperature sensor and TSP 3005 spiral tubing for use in the sterile field. The TSP procedure kit consists of the pre-assembled tubing, reservoir, and heat exchanger to be attached to the device, and sterile items specifically for the surgical field. Items for the surgical field are contained inside sterile pouches for transfer to the surgical field. Inflow and outflow tubing and temperature probes are individually packaged for use in the sterile field. The waste bag is used for disposal of the patient fluids once the case has been completed. The waste bag should be connected to the procedure kit system during setup. The three-way stopcock with luer lock connectors will be attached to the top of the fluid reservoir and will be used to introduce pharmaceuticals into the system during the case. The pressure sensor is attached to the connector panel for measuring fluid pressure inside the TSP kit system. High pressure readings can indicate occlusion in the system, which may require troubleshooting. When the device is running, warnings will appear if pressure exceeds preset limits. The first alarm will sound at 491 millimeters of mercury. Current pressure levels are displayed on the monitor home screen in the blue text box. To prepare for removing the TSP procedure kit from the tub, undo the fasteners from the fluid reservoir and the heat exchanger. The fasteners are very strong. Do not pull the fluid reservoir or heat exchanger out without loosening the fasteners, as this could damage the reservoir. Here are the steps for mounting the TSP procedure kit. First, place the plastic tub in front of the device. Remove the fluid reservoir and place it into the black fluid reservoir bracket. Place the tubing for suction in the side tray. Hang the fill tubing with spikes on the IV hanger rod and clamp both the fill tubing lines until needed. Lift the heat exchanger out of the tub and make sure the tubing lines are untangled before placing the heat exchanger on the silver heat exchanger bracket. Place the tubing for the pump housing on top of the pump for attachment later. Before removing the recirculation pack from the tub, close the clamp to the shorter tubing. Place the recirculation pack in the side tray. The tub contains TSP procedure kit product information labels that may be needed for billing or charting purposes. Place the fill tubing on or near the IV hanger rod. Insert the pump tubing section into the pump housing using the following steps. Open the pump housing door. Use the tubing connectors with cable fasteners as a guide for proper placement of the tubing within the pump raceway. The connectors and cable fasteners should both be outside the pump housing. Use the colors on the tubing to match the colored dots outside the pump housing as a guide. Insert the right side of the tubing first by opening the yellow tubing gate to allow room to insert the tubing. Feed the tubing through the pump raceway by turning the pump counterclockwise. Open the yellow tubing gate on the left side to allow for the other end of the tubing to insert. Check if the pump head turns freely. Close the pump housing door. Next, Connect the heat exchanger to the water bath system using the following steps. Attach the water lines to the heat exchanger by pulling the spring collar down and snapping it into place on the underside of the heat exchanger. An audible click should be heard. Test the connection to see if it is secure. When attached correctly, the water lines will be parallel to each other and not crossed. The gray temperature probe from the connector panel on the device connects to the anterior port of the front of the underside of the heat exchanger. Insert the pin on the probe and twist to secure. Connect the pressure sensor to the disposable tubing system. The connection point is at the lure lock fitting located on the tubing on the exit side of the pump. This is the left side of the pump with the red dot. Connect the waste bag to the inflow line at the shorter tubing of the first Y bifurcation. Close the clamps until needed for use at the end of the case. If suction or vacuum is used, connect the tubing to the hospital suction system. Clamp the suction tubing when not in use. The three-way stopcock with lure lock connectors are attached to the top of the fluid reservoir. The stopcocks can be used to inject pharmaceuticals into the patient fluid system. The patient perfused solution will be lactated Ringer's USP or another physiologically compatible solution as determined by the physician. Prime the system with 2 liters. Total volume required for the procedure can vary for larger or smaller patients. Place the solution on the IV hanger rod and connect the solution to the filled tubing. Fluid will drain into the reservoir by gravity. Set the water bath temperature on the home screen. Set the initial temperature to the desired level by tapping repeatedly or holding the plus button. When the temperature is at the desired level, touch the Start Water Bath icon on the screen. Observe the water bath temperature rising on the screen inside the white outline of the device. Start the pre-warming of fluid through the heat exchanger by touching the Start Heat Exchange icon on the home screen. Observe the water flow through the water lines and heat exchanger. If there is air in the water flow, relieve by manipulating the heat exchanger out of the bracket to clear any bubbles, and also by gently tapping the exchanger to assist the process. Initiate pump flow for the perfusate in the TSP procedure kit by touching the power pump icon on the home screen. Move the pump control slide approximately halfway. Check the disposable tubing system for leaks and ensure all clamps and caps have been securely closed. Observe fluid flowing through the TSP kit tubing system, including the recirculating pack. Observe the pump speed on screen. 2,400 milliliters per minute is the maximum. If air remains in the patient fluid side of the heat exchanger, the air can be evacuated via the debubbler lure lock on the top of the heat exchanger. Loosen the lure cap to evacuate the air, then firmly retighten the cap. Patient data entry is possible if desired in order to link the case data to the patient. Touch the picture of the computer keyboard in the white area of the home screen. Use the on-screen keyboard to key in desired information for the case.